JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in to my new weekly series called What Do You Want to Talk About? So today we're going to talk about two people, one I don't know and one that I do, former client. And then I also want to visit with you about how to make sure that when you're looking for a certain product, you know what to be looking for, because it's a product that everybody shuns and or always just looks for the cheapest. So let's get into these three things. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure that you hit that subscribe button and the notification so that you know when I drop a new video. All right, what do you want to talk about? So let's talk about Nikola Tesla. Tesla, that you know now, the vehicle, is inspired by Nikola Tesla. And there's a movie that's come out here recently starring Ethan Hawke. It's a low budget independent film. It's getting mixed reviews, but it struck me when Amanda and I were looking for something to watch, and I thought it might be an interesting story to visit with you about this morning. What do you want to talk about? So this is somebody that you may have not heard of. Most of you have probably heard of Thomas Edison, but this is somebody that was circling around Thomas Edison. In fact, he was an immigrant and worked for, made a few notes here, the Edison Machine Works, which was Thomas Edison's company. So Nikola was responsible for coming up with, dreaming up wireless communication, wireless electricity. We all know about AC/DC, and I don't mean the band, right? Alternating current is AC. This is the guy that is responsible for that. If you roll back, yes, Thomas Edison, of course, had massive contributions to us, our world, and what we're doing now. I want you to think, though, of the effect that he's had. He's also responsible for the plasma globe, the simple one you touch, radio control, the early X-ray images, wireless power transfer, like actually did it. He was able to get the equivalent of a $4 million loan from JP Morgan, became friends with that family, most notably JP Morgan's daughter. And when you think of what you're probably watching this on right now, your phone, think of the communication that we take for granted in so many ways, the wireless communication. What did the X-ray machine lead to? So Nikola was somebody that had wealth. He was somebody that, story goes, that he died not wealthy. This was all happening in the late 1800s and early 1900s. So the thing to note is that with what you're doing today, what you're doing with your business, sounds really corny, doesn't it? It could really have an impact on those in the future, next generation. Maybe your business isn't going to have as much of an impact as an early invention like this. But what if your business was able to support a family member that could one day do something that is going to change the world? So I could get into a bunch of cliches. No reason to do any of that other than just to say that Thomas Edison, as famous as he is, as all the things that Thomas Edison did, think of the leapfrog effect of what Nikola Tesla has done for us. And so sometimes we don't get the glory, sometimes we don't get the credit, even if we're in the lead, even if we're convinced that we're right. The alternating current was what JP Morgan invested in and ultimately thought it was a crock. And I know with Nikola Tesla, in reading up on it, he started to really think about the future. He was considered a futurist. So he wasn't in his time, meaning he knew there was more to come. He knew, but he believed in himself. He believed in himself. Yes, he didn't die wealthy. He believed in himself to put his money where his mouth was, and has made a huge impact. Now, I've got a client, a former client, and an entrepreneur. Probably a lot of you, or you're dreaming of being an entrepreneur. What is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is not just a company. It is really a person, obviously, but an entrepreneur is somebody that creates companies, creates ideas and products and services, or expands them, or takes a proven product, a proven service, and makes it their own to create their own business to support their family. I mean, most entrepreneurs, I've said it in many videos, are ones that will work 60 hours a week to avoid having a 40-hour-a-week job. But entrepreneurs never fail, because if you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur typically has multiple streams of income. That's something that we are all taking note of when we see someone rise up. We see somebody rise up in wealth, that is. Multiple streams of income. I mean, take Mary-Kate and Ashley, right? Actresses that then grew into having fashion and lunchboxes and promotions, all streams of revenue tied to what their strength was in terms of notoriety. Think of the Kardashians. When you're talking about multiple streams of income, that's being an entrepreneur, which also means that you can be an employee and an entrepreneur. You could be an employee that is having a quote-unquote 9-to-5, but being an entrepreneur on what many call a side hustle now. And a side hustle can grow into a company, or at least grow into something large enough to allow you to make a living from it. So many think, I want to start a business. What I say to people is, okay, do you want to start a business, or do you want to be an entrepreneur? Because starting a business is what an entrepreneur does. Anybody can start a business, but those that are going to be successful at starting a business, those are going to be successful at failing, are entrepreneurs. So a few examples I was just looking into is Arianna Huffington was turned down by 36 publishers and now has one of the most recognized publications. We all know the story of Bill Gates. Bet many didn't know George Steinbrenner owned the Cleveland Pipers. It was a basketball team, and after 2 years it had bankrupt. He took over the New York Yankees and made it the baseball club almost of all time, except for the LA Dodgers. Walt Disney was told that he wasn't creative enough and lacked creativity. Hershey, right? Hershey's chocolate. Has a town, Hershey's, in Pennsylvania. He started 3 candy companies that all failed before getting Hershey to be what it is today. So if you're wanting to start a business, take one step back and evaluate if you're an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur, in my opinion, starts with a belief that they can do it just different enough, maybe better or unique in a way to make something their own, to then make money off of it. Now, the definition of making money off of it can be varying. I was visiting with a family member of mine, and they had come up with something. They were talking about another family member of mine, his dad, and had come up with something and was on his way, and he passed away. But he had already made $20,000 off this product, and this would be my uncle, and he was off and running on it, and then passed away, and that didn't continue. But an entrepreneur is potentially all of us. It just is the difference between whether or not you will take that 30 seconds of courage that I've talked about and believe that you have something that's a little different, a little better, a little tweak, to then make it your own, to then go out on your own, or to start a side hustle to make additional dollars. Some, it's not a big deal to them. That's not really what they want to do. And that's fine. But I bet all of us in some way, shape, or form were entrepreneurs. So many times when I'm talking with business owners like the one that I'm getting ready to share with you, they think they have to be the best to be able to then have their own business. They look around and they say, well, I'm not going to have anything as good as what they've done. Or, well, the market's already saturated with this. And all those things may be true to where maybe, yeah, that isn't going to generate a business or generate a living. But many falsely think they have to come up with something better, as in they look around thinking, well, it couldn't be better than this other person, or they're already doing it, or they're already successful. But the thing is that if you do it, if you are doing it, if you plan to do it, it's kind of impossible that it wouldn't be different from whatever it is that you're looking around and seeing. The other ones that are already doing it, or competitors, or whatever the case is. Take my business. I prepare tax returns. I mean, that's the main focus of JJ the CPA. Tax planning. May not be that unique, right? You can get all the information and all the forms and all the instructions at irs.gov. You don't even have to go anywhere else. irs.gov has everything, and written in detail on how to go about it, how to prepare it. Technically, you really could do it all yourself. Now, you could also probably, drill out a cavity and fill it on your own somehow, melting down paper clips or something. So it doesn't mean just because you can, you should. But my point is, I decided I was going to do something that's probably pretty ordinary, but just because I decided to do it, I realized, well, then it would be me doing it, and in that, it would be different from what anybody else would be doing. So it doesn't necessarily, it depends on what you're doing, but it doesn't have to necessarily be the best in terms of what you're thinking. Well, I don't know if I should open a restaurant because there's so many other restaurants out there that serve better. Yeah, but if you open the restaurant, it's you. It's your recipe. Being an attorney, a musician, having a lemonade stand, right? There's going to be something just a little different. The cups, the design, the name. An entrepreneur realizes that whatever they're going to do may not be what they do forever. So the other thing that prevents somebody from starting their own business is that they think, well, I don't know if I want to do that forever. Or they compare it and it's like, well, I'd rather have a job because I know I can have that income, week after week, the paycheck, week after week. But neither set of circumstances have any kind of concrete future. There are no assurances working for an employer that it's any safer than starting or having your own business. In some ways, it could be more risky. You have one source of income, in essence. You have one company that you're relying on for everything. That one company determines when you go to bed because you got to be there at a certain time, when you get to take vacation, if you get to see your kids play soccer at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when you eat dinner, because it depends on when you get to leave work. Point is that that's not necessarily forever, as in, will that company be around? Just the same as if you started your own business, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be around forever. So I don't see that either one is more safe than the other. Now, I think as an entrepreneur myself, the way I look at it is, if I have 357 tax returns to do, well, I've got 357 sources of revenue, or I doubt I'd get fired by 357 clients all at one time. That's what provides, in my mind, a little more security than if I had one stream of revenue working for one person. But I even say this for those that enjoy being a part of a team, a group, a company. They enjoy being an employee. There's a sense of camaraderie as well as safety. But wouldn't it be smart to also be an entrepreneur in something, some side hustle on the internet, online, seasonal? Amanda makes wreaths. Had a very booming business once upon a time, and got so booming that she decided to downsize it, and then life got in the way. But when I'm talking about this client, entrepreneur all the way. Everything that he touched was gold. Was an entrepreneur in a business and was providing services to national companies right here out of Oklahoma City. I mean, phenomenal service, thought outside the box, but 2 of these national businesses went out of business, bankrupt, and not in here recently, not anything to do with COVID. And it was probably those 2 companies, 75% of his revenue. But when the first company failed, as an entrepreneur, looked to get new business, did, but then also started looking at getting into another line of business, into something that produces a product versus a service, and was successfully doing both. But with the product, this was a product that was featured in every magazine that you could ever imagine that's related to this product. On the cover of it, winning contests, sponsored, famous people were aware of it. The official, you name it, of famous national events. Think of annual sporting events, Think of annual festivals all over the place, worldwide. Just but superior product. Superior. Unique, tailored, unbelievable, phenomenal. And really what it came down to is loved his product so much that he wouldn't charge, in my opinion, what it was worth. I think he charged probably half what he could have been selling it for. I think he sold it for a third of what I think some would have paid for it. He was so passionate about it. He loved it. And it just limited the company because there were so many orders coming in. And not saying that the company wasn't profitable, but when you have a company that's going up, 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 and requires more cash, more cash, more cash, you got to stay ahead of that. So the company's around, it just has never gone, whew. It's more stayed and then kind of plateaued out. And it doesn't at all mean that it's not a successful company. The point in saying all that is that this is a company that really could be a lot larger than it is, could have many more sales, but being so in love with the product was not able to take it to the next level, which also prevented him from delegating because he was so in love with the product and what he was doing, and it was so close to him, just too hard for him to delegate. So not selling it for what I believe the market would have paid, not being able to delegate because he just loved what he was, loved the product too much and wanted to be too involved with it, where it could have been more streamlined. Now, you could say, well, does he get to see his kids? Yeah. I mean, there's lots of different ways to consider success. So, has a very successful life, successful children, successful marriage. I mean, salt of the earth guy. I mean, phenomenal person in every way. You couldn't even call any of what he did as a failure. Couldn't even. But in terms of Nikola Tesla, in terms of these other individuals that I talked about, in terms of the entrepreneur, right? So me as an accountant, me as looking at numbers, me as looking at a company and gauging success. What's a CPA gauge success on, right? Profitability, maintaining more sales. But that person is a success in life. I guarantee the reason I draw a parallel between this client and Nikola Tesla is that I guarantee what this and when he was growing, he just got too big for me. I didn't know how to do worldwide stuff and manufacturing and all the things that it required. It was just not what I could do. So I handed him off to a good friend of mine that owned a much larger CPA firm. So that's why we're not working together anymore. But I guarantee he's done and doing things in the industry that he's in that will carry into other things in that specific industry. There are unique things that he has done to where now people just want to buy his parts. And believe it or not, more than just the product, his parts are becoming so sought after that he doesn't have to actually make as many of the product. that he needed to. So if he was just making still the product, I'm not saying he would have failed and gone out of business and bankrupt and all that stuff. I'm just saying that would have just done this, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. But doing this is a grind and a struggle and a 7-day and a 12-hour day, 12 hours a day, and keeping in front of cash flow, and just, the grind. But being an entrepreneur, recognizing that he not only was creating a product, he was creating unique parts to this product that others could use on their product. So going to the next step and then putting together pieces of his product in a way that could be bought separately. Also recognizing that he created a brand, like a brand, as in that industry, like recognizable. What brand? So selling things that have that brand on it, that logo on it. Goods and hats and t-shirts. Finding multiple streams of income, and then out of that doing consulting, working with other companies, not as an accountant but as a consultant of, okay, here's what I've done, look at me, in the sense of, look at my walls full of awards and pictures and covers of magazines and with famous people, like the most famous people. I'd name names to you, and every single one watching this video will know exactly these people. And he recognized as an entrepreneur that he needed to do some things differently. Now, he does with his product charge 3 times what he was. And when he's involved, that is when it is, tailored, made to order, custom. And then when people want the product and it's not really as custom, even though by price every product is custom, he is able to delegate that because he came up with the original design, and now someone is putting together his design. He's not having to be as intricately involved with each, even though he is. But then when he's intricately involved, that's when he's charging what it is worth, 3 times what he was charging. And then recognizing and having the ability to be an entrepreneur. So he wasn't starting a business. And what he was putting together, he didn't invent it. Now, I don't know if he has certain products on his product that would be considered inventions, or has patents on them, probably. But being an entrepreneur, he didn't define his success based on the company. He didn't define his success sitting with the CPA. Now, he listened to his CPA on cash flow to look at things differently, to use that information and that knowledge related to cash flow to recognize that he needed to find other streams of income. But instead of going in a completely different direction or opening up something completely different from what he was doing, he found different streams of income surrounding what he was doing. He was taking the time and the effort and the love that he had for what he was doing and is doing, and expanded on that to then make a very stable, growing company. So that leads to, when you're looking for things for you, okay, whether it's your business, whether it's a product that you need, you have to remember you're the most unique part of all of it. right? What I was saying earlier. You might be doing something the same, but because you're doing it, that's simply what makes it unique. So in a real twist here in the last minute or two, when you're looking for life insurance, because this is what one of you had said to talk about during what do you want to talk about, when you're considering getting life insurance or health insurance, what I want you to remember is that one size doesn't fit all, and cheapest doesn't necessarily mean anything. Cheapest doesn't necessarily mean it's a fit for you. So like anything, right? You go into a store, you don't just say, hey, I need a shirt, I want the cheapest one, right? What do you know first? Size. What's the size mean? You just made that a unique purchase. Can't just be any shirt. And if you want the cheapest, well, there you go, it's a tank top. Well, no, it's winter. Oh, okay, so your need is you need a medium, and it's winter, so you need a long sleeve shirt. Then you go, well, I'd like something more than just white. See, what you need defines then what you're going to buy and how much you're going to pay for it. So what you need to define first is, with life insurance, what is it that you need? Okay? Well, the amount that you need depends on what you live on. So rule of 200, you take what you live on times 200, and that's how much life insurance you need for those that you're leaving behind to live on that same dollar amount perpetually. How? Run the math. Right? Someone lives on $5,000 a month times 200. Now, whatever your number is, you take it times 200 and then multiply it by 6%, and it will yield that same amount per month, regardless of what it is. So what do you live on? Well, look at your personal bank statement. Should know what comes in every month may not be what goes out. So what goes out is what you live on. Live on $5,000 a month times 200. That's how much life insurance you need. You want all the debts paid off? Yes. Well, then add your debt to whatever that figure is. What you live on times 200 plus your debt, plus how much do you want to leave behind for college, for your kids, how much do you want to leave behind for weddings. But at a minimum, at least do a quick calculation. There you go. You now need X. What do you know that you need now may be different than what you need in 5 years or 10 years in terms of your age and the age of your heirs. So you want to first define what you need, not just I need life insurance. And it's the same with the health insurance. Figure out what it is that you need, which also includes your budget. It would actually be better to figure out, well, here's how much I need, and here's my budget for health insurance. Here's my budget for life insurance. Not making a decision up front on, well, I just want the cheapest. What is it that you need? And then go to the store, go to the insurance advisor, go to the insurance broker, and say, here's what I need. Because if you get what you need, then that's just the cost. And then if you are wanting to shop it, well, you're going to the same person to say, here's what I need. And now when you go to somebody else, you have to say, well, here's what I need. Because something may be cheaper over here, but they're going to sell you what you don't need. I could sell you life insurance for 10 cents a month. May not be what you need, but it'd be cheaper. I could sell you life insurance and it expires in 10 years. Well, it's going to be cheaper than if somebody were selling you life insurance that expires in 20 years. So you have to define what your need is first. And then when you're asking people to give you a quote, you can't change what your need is. Now, you may be informed further and go, oh, you know what? I do need that too. That makes sense. I wasn't aware I need that. Yes. So then the next person that you're asking for a quote, you want it to be presenting the same need. So I go to a department store and I say, I need a medium, long sleeve, blue shirt. Now I go to, a Target or a Walmart. I say, I need a medium, long sleeve, blue shirt. There's going to be differences in price, probably just simply based on quality, maybe. Maybe it's just based on whether or not it has a logo on it and makes you feel better. I know it does me when I'm wearing something that has a logo or a little Ralph Lauren, polo horse, based on my upbringing. So what do you want to talk about? Let me know. Put in the comments here what you would like me to talk about next Sunday. I have 2 other new series that are coming out each week. Mondays at noon Central Daylight Time it'll be released, and it'll be 5 things in 5 minutes. Video will probably be about 6.5 minutes, but each thing I'm going to talk about, each tip I will do in 1 minute. Busy on Mondays. And then on Wednesday evenings, I'll release it at 7. It'll be mistakes businesses make. And then Thursdays at 9 p.m. I'll be doing a kind of roll the dice on what kind of video it is premiere at 9 p.m. And then I go live Monday and Fridays at 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I am selling a book right now, my second book. I'll put the details of it in this video, in the body of it. If you buy it, email me a receipt. I'll put your name in the hat. On September 11th, I'll draw out a name, and that person will win $1,000. Hey, if you made it to here and you're not a subscriber, I'd love it if you click it, turn on the notifications. If you are a subscriber and you don't have your notifications turned on for my channel, I'd love it if you did. And you have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you so much. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. All right. Have a great day.